Desde que la vi quedé fascinado con esta película llamada A Ghost Story o una historia de fantasma que dirigió David Lowery en 2017, que tiene a Casey Affleck y a Rooney Mara como protagonistas y que te hace reflexionar muchísimo sobre la existencia, sobre la vida y sobre lo que dejamos en este mundo una vez que partimos. Sobre esto hablé con su director de fotografía, con Andrew Droz Palermo, que me contó cómo fue pensar cada uno de los aspectos más técnicos de esta película, así como también por qué eligieron un encuadre de esta forma, por qué el fantasma se ve así y un montón de cuestiones más, todas referidas a Ghost Story.
We now return to Mira Akien and Contre with our latest interview.
You know, David and I both have said that that's probably the best movie we'll ever make. And it's interesting to make it towards the beginning of our career, maybe, and to maybe never top it is an interesting thing.
I want to ask you, firstly, why did you choose that framing?
It was something that David really wanted, which one reason was he felt that he would never get another chance to do it. You know, the one when would you ever have a chance to make a small movie like this? And if there's more money, of course, there's more scrutiny to all your choices. And the other, I think, is that it kind of evokes a home movie, and there's an intimacy to that we both really liked.
What is it you like about this house so much?
History?
Anytime the ghost was present, we did a couple of tricks to make him feel not just like a man in a sheet. One of which was we shot, a little bit of slow motion, just ever so slightly slow, not so slow that you would notice that it was slow motion, but it would just kind of take off a little of the edge, as we said. And the other thing we like to do is we would like to add haze into a room anytime he was present, to catch a little bit of light, but it also just kind of made things a little spookier, I guess. But and then the other thing too that I'm recalling now is how much puppeteering was done with the costume. With they would, if I was framing a shot just as you're framed, sort of head and shoulders, there would be a costume designer, maybe a wardrobe assistant, just below frame, kind of tugging on his outfit so that it wouldn't be wrinkly up at his throat, or when he turned, it didn't do weird things. They would kind of help it along because we found that it would look comical really quickly. Just one little thing could be wrong and it would just look silly.
Yeah.
And our movie wasn't, it was a pretty serious movie. There's some comedic elements to it, but largely a very serious movie. And so we were always very cautious about that.
We build our legacy piece by piece, and maybe the whole world will remember you, or maybe just a couple of people, but you do what you can to make sure you're still around.
Why did you choose to go with this childlike version of a ghost and not like some other version?
That's a good question. I think I never questioned it personally. It was in the script. I knew that when I first got it and was talking to David, it was going to be a sheet ghost, and I think that was just what he had always had in his mind, a ghost and a sheet. And I'm glad he did, because I think that if it were something scarier or haunted or, something more like Guillermo del Toro might do, you might not have been able to imprint your emotions onto him as much as you do. Like, there's something very disarming and sweet about that ghost. And he's such a blank canvas for your feelings, and, a subtle look and a head tilt, can mean so much to each person.
A writer writes a novel. A songwriter writes a song. We do what we can to endure.
It was just really, how much can we get away with in a frame? How much can we have people move in and out of a frame? And how do we, as both the creators, but also as film viewers, just slow our minds down and think on a different time scale? Because, once you start making movies, you're often thinking about everything in a cut. The camera will come over here and we'll come over here, cut. And we just really wanted to peel that back and come at it very naked emotionally, and try not to hide things, try to be as open and emotionally accessible as possible. For that scene of Rooney, it just was so clear that it was a single shot. She is going through such trauma and such grief. It just felt disingenuous to come in and closer to her face and to, you know, go in for that close up that you might, to really like pull on the viewers who are watching it. And I feel like it takes you on a bit of a roller coaster, because even in that shot, I would expect, I never, of course, have had the experience of seeing it without having shot it, but I would expect that people are interested in it, and then their interest wanes, and they kind of, their mind's going elsewhere, and then they're interested in it again, and they're thinking about it, and they're with it, and maybe it might take them somewhere emotionally. But I like that it can be a push and a pull, and that you don't need to be like force feeding people entertainment the whole time.
Why do you think we love this movie so much? Why do you think we connected with it?
I think for me, when I look back at it, we were very honest, we were earnest, we were sincere. You know, it was a movie that wore a lot of its emotions on its sleeve, you know, and that's maybe not a very clear expression, but you know, we were just very open emotionally and vulnerable. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. Maybe they're not experiencing what Rooney has, but they've had love in their life, and maybe they've lost it, or, you know, something that didn't go their way, and they can just relate to that trauma and that feeling of longing that then Casey's character has, longing for a place, longing for a home, longing for a love. And I think there's just something, you know, deeply human about that.